Hello, all warriors of light and future warriors of darkness. So, today was the big day, the release of patch 4.56, or a Requiem for Heroes Part 2 if you prefer. Either way, this is just going to be a quick rundown of all the notes that Square Enix was kind enough to give us, and you can find it up on the logstone. Like the name implies, these are just going to be notes, telling us where we can find certain quests, and just brief glimpses of some of the other features they added today. With so much added in every patch, it's hard to keep track of everything, so they devised this whole note system, just so that we know where we're supposed to go. So we're going to start off with the new main scenario quest, which has just been added. Here, this shows that we have only 2 quests, and that they are going to be finishing up for the story for Stormblood, as well as pave the way for Shadowbringers. And I'm not going to lie, I was disappointed. I was expecting at least 5 of them. But hey, what can you do? Anyway, if you want to continue with the story, the first quest is called A Brief Reprieve. To accept it, you need to first be a Disciple of War Magic at level 70, and you have to have completed the main scenario quest line up to the Face of War. You can accept it from the Rising Stones from Hoary Boulder, and you can follow the story from there until you complete the story for Stormblood, and then have everything set up for Shadowbringers. The next 2 quests that are going to be mentioned here are the side story quests, and you're free to accept them or not. However, for these 2 side quests, in order to accept them, you first have to complete a series of other quests that lead up to this point. For Hildebrand, there are 2 more quests where we are finishing up his adventures in the Far East, and you can accept the quest by being a level 70, but hey, let's face it, if you played up to this point, you have to have one job up to level 70. And you also have to first complete Hildebrand's adventures all the way up to Good Swords, Good Dogs. Once you have those requirements, you can accept the quest, which is called The Past Is Never Past from Nashu and Kugane. And the exact coordinates are listed right here if you need that, and you can just continue on with the story from here until you reach its conclusion. And the final side quest that we have is for the Beast Tribe quest, where we're finishing up the story we started with the Beast Tribes. However, if you want to unlock it, you have to first complete the Beast Tribe quest lines for the Ananta, the Kojin, and the Namazu. Once you have that, you can speak with the East Aldenard Trading Company assistant who will be waiting for you in Kugane. And you can continue the final series of quests as we say goodbye to our new Beastmen friends. They also showed us a few new housing items, and here's a picture of a couple of them. Now, these are rewards that you earn from completing the Beast Tribe quest. The top picture shows a series of golden pots and vases that you get from the Ananta, and the bottom picture shows a stage that you get from the Namazu. I know that it has a proper name, I just can't think of it right now. But anyway, if you want these items, make sure that you do the Beast Tribe quests. And speaking of those quests, from the Kojin, you will be allowed to unlock the Kojin Junkmongers, Menders, Stewards, and Servants, and so you can have your very own Kojin there to serve you whenever you go home. Other than that, any new information that we got is pretty small because this patch is so tiny. We have a new Triple Triad card added, and as you can see, it's just the one card. I don't know what it is yet, so I can't tell you where to go looking for it. But there has been a new one added to those of you who are collectors. We also have the Orborn Monastery added to the Wondrous Tales objectives, and so you can do that for weekly prizes from Chloe. Also, we got a new emote which allows us to spread the wealth around. It's literally an emote where you're throwing gold into the air, and that is also a reward that you get from the Beastmen questlines. Moving on to the battle system changes, we got a new surprise in the new trial called Kugane Ohashi, where we're going to be facing up against the one and only Yojimbo. Now, this is a trial that is only unlocked from playing through the final Hildebrand adventures, and so you will be needing an item level of at least 365. This is also going to be a full party battle, and you unlock it from the quest The Past Is Never Past, which you get from Nashu and Kugane, as I mentioned before. Moving on, we are reaching just minor adjustments that they've made to some of the old 2.x series trials, where I think that since those trials have gotten so easy for players that they're changing things just a little bit to make it harder. Such as in the Bowl of Embers, both the normal and hard mode, when Ifrit becomes immune to damage, he will now receive invincibility status, and additional effects from weapon skills and enfeeblements can now be applied. And the same can be said for Extreme. While the Infernal Nails are present, dealing a certain amount of damage to Ifrit will cause him to become temporarily invincible, and Hellfire can no longer be prevented by dealing damage to Ifrit. And when Ifrit becomes immune to damage, he will now receive the invincibility status, additional effects, like we said before, and the damage dealt by certain variants of Hellfire have been increased, and this is kind of the same for all of them. In the Naval, both normal and hard mode, if all surviving party members are trapped in granite jails, the battle will no longer restart. Instead, the trapped players must be released after a certain amount of time has passed and will incur damage. Players trapped in the granite skulls will no longer be automatically KO'd when hit by the Earthen Fury, so this might make things a little bit trickier for new players. The striking tree, both hard and extreme mode, shows that while the Grey Arbiters are present, dealing a certain amount of damage to Ramuh will cause him to become temporarily invincible, and Judgment Bolt can no longer be prevented by dealing damage to Ramuh. However, the maximum damage dealt by Judgment Bolt has been reduced. For the World Eater, both hard and extreme modes, while Gryer Sprooms are present, dealing a certain amount of damage to Leviathan or its tail will cause it to become temporarily invincible. Tidal Wave can no longer be prevented by dealing damage to Leviathan. However, the maximum damage dealt by Tidal Wave has been reduced as well. And for Shiva, for both hard and extreme mode, while the Ice Soldiers are present, dealing a certain amount of damage to Shiva will cause her to become temporarily invincible, and Diamond Dust can no longer be prevented by dealing damage to Shiva. So basically what this is all saying is that they made slight little changes to the 2.x trials, just to make things a little bit more interesting, I think, maybe make it a little harder, but also not as bad for new beginners. And I think that they set this up so that more of the veteran players, when they run through these trials, they won't be able to kill them right off the bat. Okay, next up, we learned that the Echo is granted to players in the Omega Deltascape Savage mode, and the Echo has also increased in the Sigmascape Savage mode so that when we die, we will gain a slightly higher bonus. There have also been some minor adjustments done to the Alphascape Savage mode as well. So from now on, every time you complete the Savage mode, you're always going to get 2 treasure coffers, and the weekly restriction on these rewards has been removed. So basically they just adjusted things around so that you can enter the Alphascape Savage mode whenever you want, and there are no more restrictions, and as well as the fact that players have also received the power of the Echo here, and so you do get a slight 10% increase in healing potency, damage dealing, and maximum HP, so that might make things a little bit easier for players to run through it. Also, the Orbone Monastery has been added to the daily roulette in the Alliance raids, and the new trial of the Kugane Ohashi has been added to the Duty Roulette Mentor. Weekly limits on the Allagan Tomestones of Genesis has raised from 450 to 900. However, keep in mind that the maximum of 2,000 tombstones that you can carry around with you at all times is still going to be the same. As well as for PvP, they have made some slight changes in addition to the front lines and rival wings, such as how players are now going to be unable to apply debuffs and players with invincibility status at Grand Company landings. Players will now be under the effect of the invincibility status for 15 seconds after rejoining combat and exiting the landing, and items will no longer be available for use. This item has been made to prevent unpleasant player experiences resulting from certain uses of items. Not sure what they mean of that, since I don't really play PvP too often, but I'm sure that those of you who do understand exactly what's going on. Next up, we are going to be talking about the items, which is always a personal favorite to talk about, and with this new patch we unlocked a few new items, including this Namazu mask, which covers your entire head. And like you probably guessed, this is going to be another reward from the Beastmen Tribe quest. And yes, you are going to be getting a lot of rewards from that series. We also have the new big fish added to fishing spots in Girobania and Othard, so this should excite you fishermen out there. And we also have new chocobo barding added. And as you could probably tell, this barding is from Yojimbo, most likely from his new trial. And rounding up the items list, we have new minions, and this is just going to be one of them, but there are several others. And so this is going to be a little pillow that when you summon out, you'll be able to sit on it. And this is also a minion that you can purchase from the Kojin once you finish the final Beastmen quest. As for the system itself, we have some new achievements and titles added, new additions and adjustments made to the text commands, new phrases added in the auto translation dictionary, and to prepare for the new server expansion, we have the new EU data centers now on the data center selection screen, though that's not going to become official until the 2nd of April. And finally, we have the resolved issues and known issues, which are not too big, if you ask me. like an issue wherein friend invitations could not be cancelled under certain conditions. The action text for the White Mage PvP Mage Action Protect was incorrect. And yeah, so as you can see here, just little details have changed. Just probably some little nitpicks and complaints that they've heard from players. And so they probably thought that, you know, we might as well fix this. We have an off day, we have free time. Not sure if they can really say that anymore because with Shadowbringers on the horizon. But hey, I don't know what they do in their free time. Anyway, these are all the notes that we received for the final patch of Stormblood, and I hope that you all found them useful and are enjoying the new content that we got out today. So I'm just going to cut it there for now. I want to go back into the game and finish up all those little bits and pieces that I haven't been able to complete yet, and I'll be seeing you all again really soon. Have fun!